Well, hey everybody, how are we today? I bet you can hear my voice that I'm not feeling good at all. On Christmas, I was given a cold, and so I'm just now getting to where I'm up and at 'em and doing some stuff. And Happy New Year, by the way. And I'm going to try not to talk too long or try not to cough and have to start all over again. But on January 1st of every year, I get a new set of these. And you guys get a calendar. And this year I got one for the house. This is I don't know if you can see it, a budget book. And this one has some interesting things for goals and setting up. You know, I'm just trying to show you. There's one for expense tracker and then monthly review and everything like that. And then there's the, what is that one? The debt tracker page, more debt tracker pages, and then sharing of the year. So I just, I'm getting started today because I finally feel good enough to prep my books and everything. And I don't do those New Year's resolutions, because if I said I'm going to do a New Year's resolution, 2 weeks it'll be done. But I have decided to do a lifestyle change, not a challenge, a change in my eating habits, and to get some more exercise in this year. And I apologize for my hair. I combed my hair, and I think in my last video, I told you guys that I was going to have a haircut by next year. Well, I was not expecting this cold to happen, and it was the flu. It's not COVID. It was the flu bug. And so next Tuesday, hopefully I'll get a haircut before next Wednesday's program or video. But here's the 2025 calendar. And some of the things that I'm working on are my budget, my goals, my activities for 2025, my food budget, because I want to eat healthier, so I want to figure out if I need to put more money into the food budget instead of buying potato chips. They're bad for me, I know. Just don't tell my husband. He's not going to get any more chips. And then, that's where, if you see, that's where I'm doing my healthy goals. And so hopefully I'll be feeling much better. And I just wanted to get on here again to wish you guys a happy new year. May 2025 bring you many, many blessings. And I apologize for my hair being that way again. And know that Miss Kathy is thinking of you guys and praying for you. And I'm working on my next story and for next week. But I want to tell you a quick little story about budgeting. And as a Christian, God tells us to tithe. Malachi chapter 3, verse 10. He tells us to give unto 10% of our income, of our increase, to the storehouse of God. And I thought, okay, well, when I was younger, because I'm disabled, so I get disability. And I had moved to a little town over here in Michigan called Lapeer. And I thought, well, Lord, if you want me to move here, I need a job and a place to live the same day. And I got off I-69, and right there is the Lapeer Seventh-day Adventist Church. I said, oh, I am going to pull in there and have somebody pray with me. Because even since I can remember, I've been a prayer warrior. So I pulled into the parking lot, and there were 2 cars in the parking lot. And I got out, and I waddled up the steps to the church. And I knocked on the door. Nobody answered. And I thought, but there's 2 cars in the door. And all of a sudden, I got this feeling, just open the door. I opened the door, and I walked in, and there was 2 elderly ladies in the Dorcas Center. And I said, hi. And I think I probably gave them a heart attack. And I said, I didn't mean to scare you. I really didn't mean to scare you. And they said, well, how did you get in here? I said, shut the door. I opened the door and walked in. You couldn't have. We locked that door. And one of the ladies tried. She stepped outside, and they shut the door. And sure enough, the door was locked, and she couldn't get back in. The other lady had to open, we had to open the door, and she's like, wow. And she said, well, God must have brought you here. And I said, well, yeah. I said, I'm a big prayer warrior, and I'm feeling the Lord wants me to move to Lapeer, and I need, this and this. And I had prayer with the ladies, and the one lady, Miss Hunt, knew me since I was a little girl, and so we had prayer and everything, and Miss June, the other lady, ripped out the telephone book. I don't even think they make them anymore, boys and girls. I don't think they make telephone books anymore. Anyway, she ripped out a whole page from the telephone directory, and she circled a couple apartment complexes, and then she wrote down her name and address and phone number and said, I am a reference for this young lady. And she put down my name. And I thought, okay. Well, I went to one place, and they said, oh, no, our rent is way over your budget. I'm like, oh, man. Oh, okay, I can't go. Well, then I thought, well, I'll go to my workforce because it's a Golden Arches that I was working at, and so I wanted to see if I could transfer. And they said, oh, yes, can you start tomorrow? And I said, well, no, I can't start tomorrow because I don't have a home. And he said, well, and then he told me this other place, and he said, go there. And so I went back there, and I walked in, and they said, oh, no, you want Gateway. They're cheap. They're more low income housing. And I said, well, and he goes, well, I happen to be the manager of that place. So I went over and I filled out the form, and I left. Went all the way home, and I stopped at the Golden Arches on the way home, employee discount kind of thing, And I got a snack, and I had prayed prior to this. I said, Lord, if you want me to move to this town, you need to give me a place to live and a job before the day is over. And as I was pulling out of the Golden Arches to pull off to eat, because I don't eat and drive, I never have. So I pulled off into a parking spot. My daddy called me. And he said, Kat, he said, this blah, blah, blah place is calling. They said, do you want the apartment? And I said, well, yes, Daddy, I want the apartment. Call him back, tell him I'm taking it. And I hung up the phone because back then cell phones were 30 cents a minute or something like that. They were outrageous, but that's, I'm so grateful for technology to have improved some. But anyway, I said, yes, Daddy, call him back and tell him I want it. And he goes, well, here's the number. So I hung up from the phone with Dad, and I called Miss Annette back and said, yes, I'll take the apartment. And she said, okay, it's yours. I said, okay. And then I said, I'll be back on such and such day. And I went home, and I came home and got some money and got a load of stuff and got my son to have him check it out. And so Secret Squirrel could check it out, and everything. And did all that and stuff. And we moved in. And then Miss June became good friends with me. And I was at her house, her and her husband's, and going in and stuff. And she said, Kathy, she said, have you ever just, thought about tithing your income? And I said, well, my daddy's always told me because it was disability pay, it didn't belong to me. It belonged, he put money into it. My brother put into it and everything else. I could tell you another story about how my brother said every time side note here, every time my brother Scott got paid, he'd look at it and say, oh, yep, Lips got paid. Miss Kathy got paid. Oh, ouch. Big chunk of my check went to her. That was his little side jokes, but he knew that his big sister got some money. And so anyway, she said, Kathy, she said, try it. And if God doesn't bless you, don't ever, ever, ever do it again. So I thought, okay. So the following Sabbath I went, and my son, I wrote out a check, and I thought, I wrote out, it was actually cash. I put the $50 in cash in an envelope, and then the offering plate came, down, and I said, there we go. And my son's like, Mama, that's my macaroni and cheese. I said, son, that's God's money. But Mama, there goes my macaroni and cheese. And so I said, well, we have to give God back what God asked for in Malachi chapter 3. And I had put it down there, and he whispers, he goes, Mama, I'll go back a few pews and I'll try to take it out. And I said, no, son, we don't steal from Jesus. God's money is God's money, and somehow he will provide. And so I went and we paid the tithe, and he sat with me and did our church service, and we're leaving. And I'm getting in at that time I had a blue Ford Taurus wagon. And I got in the car. My son got in the front seat. And this gentleman walked over to me and he said, you don't know me, but and I said, okay. And he said, but the Lord impressed me to give this to you. And if you notice, remember, this hand doesn't open very well, but he put something in my hand and closed my hand. He wouldn't let me look at it, so I didn't see it. And I thought, okay. I said, sir, I have a small problem. And he said, what's that? I said, I can't drive with this hand. I need to switch it. He goes, well, don't look at it. And so I switched it. And I could feel that it was money. I figured $10, maybe $20, that he was blessing me with, And so I had it in this hand. And we drive home. We get into our new apartment. Mind you, I'd only been there a few weeks at this point. So we were still unboxing things because it takes me a long time to do anything. And so I sat on the couch, and my son, he's peeling. Secret Squirrel was peeling my fingers. I mean, just trying to get it, because he's like, Mom, it's money. It's my macaroni and cheese. And I was like, yeah, and he's trying to peel my fingers. See, that's how hard it is for Miss Kathy to open her hand. Well, I finally got it open, and it was a $50 bill. It was the exact same amount of money that I had put in tithe, that the Lord had already blessed me with. And I said, oh, we got it. And so my son, we got on my knees, and I said, son, we need to sit down and pray. So we bowed our heads, and we started praying and thanking the Lord for his giving us back the money and tithing and blessing us and stuff. And all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door. Yes, Breezy, Mama's knocking. She thought somebody's knocking at the door. She ran to the door. Sorry. I'm glad she didn't yelp at the door. But anyway, the knock on the door. So I waddled over to the door and I opened it because I didn't know anybody. And my son's like, Mom, who is it? We don't know anybody. And I said, I know. So when I got to the door, it was a lady from church. She said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that we had Thanksgiving baskets and we had some stuff left over. And we were wondering if you could use it. And I said, well, sure. And she's had a brown paper bag full of stuff. I said, well, sure. Thank you very much. She brought it in and sat it down on my kitchen counter. And then she left. And not even 2 minutes later, she's knocking again. And she said, and then this time she brought back 2 bags. And I went, what? And she said, oh, yeah, I still got a couple more bags. So my son went out and helped her. They brought in a total of 6 bags of groceries. Not just groceries, but paper towels, paper plates, napkins, dish soap, laundry soap, canned goods. I mean, and then my son says, Mom, look, God even gave me back my macaroni and cheese. And I said, oh, thank you, Lord Jesus. And so after the young lady left, my son and I prayed again and said, thank you, Lord Jesus. I didn't have to buy groceries for a long time because of the church helping me so much. And they didn't have to. They didn't even know I had a need. But God knows that we have needs and wants, and he wants to fulfill the desires of our hearts. Psalms 34, says so. And Psalms 37, 3 and 4. I'm sorry. That's the dyslexic in me, but it's Psalms 37, verses 3 and 4. And I'm just telling you, if you're struggling and you think, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, I don't know how to budget, I don't know how to do what I need to do, give it to the Lord. Say, Father, if you hear me, you know I need X, X, and Y. But Father, before you give me, and he will reward you. And if you think, well, I can't give my $10 out of my $100 to the Lord, trust me. It's the only thing I'm OCD about now. Ask my husband. He'll tell you every month. I say, did we pay tithe? Did we put offering in? Did we did? And when COVID hit, it was really bad. I'm telling on myself, because when COVID we didn't pass out the plates at church, and so we put a box out there and I didn't see him put it in the box. I nagged him all Sabbath. I said, you didn't tithe. We got to put the tithe. We got to go back to the church and put tithe. He goes, honey, I put it in the box, remember? And I'm like, no, I didn't see you put it in there. So after that, he makes sure that, he's like, honey, look, whoosh, there goes my tithe. Now I think we're back to almost normal, where we're doing the offering plate now. So he lets me put it in. So I am blessed that way. So, but as 2025 begins, I hope you think about what your plans are for 2025, but you put Christ first and ask him to show you how to bless others, because by blessing others, he will bless you also. And just read Malachi 3, verse 10, and Psalms 37, verses 3 and 4. God bless you guys, and know Miss Kathy's praying for you all. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video with others. Blessings all, and happy New Year!